2009, we made history with the election of President Barack Obama. He called us to service as there remains much work to do to end unemployment, poverty, and crime in our communities. There's so many books on how we can accomplish this, but this year everyone's raving about this summer's hottest new book, The Solution for Black America: Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America by Chicago's own Emmanuel Barbee. A graduate of Northeastern Illinois University, Barbee addresses key ways we back our families and communities. But unlike so many other books on this topic, Barbee captivates his reader, presenting solutions through a riveting life story. It's entertaining, it's different, it's exciting. The perfect book club selection. Don't be left out. Get your copy of The Solution for Black America: Reclaiming, Rebuilding, and Restoring the Urban Ghettos in America. Order today at Amazon.com.
Welcome to Help Stop the Genocide in American Ghettos podcast. My name is Emmanuel Barbee. I'm your host. This video podcast is about raising awareness and solving Black issues, mobilizing people on my friends list and people in my social groups, as well as group interaction, promoting global Black unity, kingdom building, and Black empowerment in the 21st century. The Grassroots community activist movement stands on the front lines in making Black liberation a reality throughout the African diaspora. We address social issues that are important to Black people in the Black community, community safety, urban violence, unemployment, mass incarceration, failing schools, police brutality, inadequate health care and housing, urban gentrification, and institutionalized racism. This podcast is also about educating Black people by providing a forum in which artists, authors, Black business owners, Black Christian leaders, moderate Muslims, and secular people can gather together in a supportive environment. When we say community, we mean it. We are not affiliated with any organizations. We are independent. The Grassroots community activist movement incites social change through community engagement that cultivates knowledge, dialogue, and action within the Black community, starting in Chicago. Our vision is to incite empathy, thought, dialogue, and action through our podcast, our future urban Christian film, which is Hood Liberator, Made in Chicago. The war against Willie Lynch begins. We are on the front lines battling corporate radio on behalf of the Black community. I encourage everyone who is listening or watching this video podcast to please subscribe to my Mixcloud page, my YouTube channel, and my Linktree page, which provide the links to all of my information. Please share this video podcast with all of your friends. This will help get the ball rolling. I do this show in order to network with everyone on my friends list, everyone in my social groups. It's convenient because you can participate, listen, or watch this video in the privacy of your home. After I finish my presentation, then I will ask my panel to share their point of views about the topic. Afterwards, I will open the phone lines to everyone on my friends list for Q&A. You would need to connect with me through Facebook Messenger as a voice call. To participate in this discussion, just click on the phone icon. Your voice will be heard. I offer my guest speakers who come on my show with an incentive by sharing with them how to create their own podcast and YouTube channel while earning revenue from it. I also assist people on my friends list and people in my social groups with creating basic websites, finding college scholarships and grants, housing, legal services, all for free. I don't ask for any donations. Instead, I encourage people on my friends list and people in my social groups to please support me by purchasing my revised book and share my book information with your family and friends. It's available as an ebook for $9.99 or as a softcover book for $15 plus shipping and handling. The only thing which is preventing me from turning my virtual Christian socialist organization, GRCAM, into a real Black Christian business, GRCAI, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute, is the lack of manpower and capital. This is why I turn to social media to get my message out to the public through my YouTube videos, my social groups, my blog postings, my online talk show, my revised book, and now through my future urban Christian film, Hood Liberator, Made in Chicago. The War Against Willie Lynch Begins. This is my last attempt to try to do something positive for my racial group in America. Tonight's presentation, Black Unity and Support for my film project. Systemic racism is something that has been going on in America for centuries. According to American history books, our ancestors were taken from Africa and placed in a brutal slave system, convict leasing, Jim Crow, redlining, all which perpetuate social and economic discrimination. African Americans or Black Americans was taught to believe in a hypocritical document called the U.S. Constitution, which stated that all men are created equal. But if you would read a little further in that Constitution, it would say also that as it pertains to Black people, we are considered three-fifths human. And so, that's not cool. The deadline has passed for us to wake up, rise up from this Willie Lynch mentality, and those on the continent from a colonized mentality. What Black unity means is that there is shared responsibility. On a spiritual perspective, according to Zephaniah chapter 2 verse 1, it talks about gathering together as a nation. This has always been difficult for Black people. We patronize the Chinese and other non-Black businesses before we patronize our own. We've seen the videos how Africans are treated in China. We also see how China is slowly across Africa becoming the new colonizer. I'm trying to explain to my members that we have to reject this false narrative about Africa, that Africa is a land full of wars, hunger, disease, and poverty. If that was the case, then why are Asians, Europeans, and American corporations migrating there? As I explained in my revised book, the financial elites are there to exploit African natural resources such as oil, gold, and diamonds through the EU, which is the European Union, the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund, and the WB, which is the World Bank. Africa needs the diaspora. If we lose the continent, we lose everything. Now is the time to unite, plan, strategize, organize, and mobilize. The grassroots community activist movement is ready to take the lead. I just want brave and smart brothers and sisters to be on my management team, to help me move this virtual Christian socialist organization from behind a computer, starting in Chicago. According to Isaiah chapter 13, verse 14, this is what it says. And it shall be as the chaste robe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, they shall every man turn to his own people and flee everyone into his own land. I'm going to ask people to read Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 through 14. And, basically, I'm just paraphrasing. It's talking about the 400 years of affliction, how the Lord allowed, I'm just going to say, our ancestors to be in a strange land. And that after the 400 years, they were able to generate great wealth and leave out of that land. And according to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68, it says that, I'm just paraphrasing, you're going to have to read that for yourself. It talks about that you will be in Egypt again, that you will be taken back into Egypt. And as far as I'm concerned, my interpretation of that verse is that America is the new Egypt, and it doesn't make sense whatsoever that we as black people, I would say black Americans or African Americans, have to continue to march and protest for basic protection under the law. I mean, we've been here for 400 years in this country. Our people have been marching for 52 years. So, I mean, basically, we're just going to have to learn how to work together as black people, do what we can. I mean, the system is against us. It's not broken. It was created, to oppress us. So, but we are in a better position nowadays because we have option, and that option is to look at the African continent. COVID-19 has exposed racism and poverty in America. If the U.S. government can afford to give $2 trillion to corporations, then the U.S. government can afford to ensure equal access for black people in health care. Thank God for camera phone and the internet as we mourn the death of George Floyd, who was brutally murdered on video for the whole world to see. We continue to demand justice from an unjust system. And again, to me, it doesn't make sense, but, it is what it is. As millions of people across American cities take to the streets and raise their voices in response to the killing of George Floyd and the ongoing problem of police brutality by road cops or race soldiers, the protesters need to demand first-degree murder for the killing of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. They should also demand the abolishment of the police union. The waves of protests across the country represents a legitimate frustration over decades of failed police practices in the United States. The point of protests is to raise public awareness, to put a spotlight on injustice, and to challenge the power that be. The protest is just one aspect. We need to make sure that we have transformative change, such as police reform, community investment in the black community, and economic reform. Black people as a group are at the bottom economically in Western nations. Don't take my word for it, just do the research. We live in the information age. Google it. On the flip side, looters and outside agitators are destroying property in the black community, which already have limited resources and investment. And it's a distraction from the real issues. It's mayors and county executives that appoint most police chiefs and negotiate collective bargaining agreements with police unions. It's district attorneys and state attorneys that decide whether or not to investigate and ultimately charge those involved in police misconduct. Those are all elected positions. The problem is district attorneys act as de facto members for the defense. The congressional black talkers and all these fake activists from the white media is a distraction. Tailoring reforms for each community will require local activists and organizations to do their research and educate fellow citizens in their community on what strategies would work best. We have to put in place a zero tolerance for white supremacy violence. That's how you solve police brutality in America. This fight cannot be won by just one or three individuals, no matter how dedicated they are. The global black family are the ones who have to understand that this is our responsibility to destroy white supremacy. What makes the civil rights movement effective? As I discuss in my revised book, protesting was part of it. Our grandparents were on code and unified. They took economic action against the Montgomery bus company, which ended Jim Crow in the South. Black people have been marching and protesting in America for 52 years, begging the financial elites for equal rights and protection under the law. Nowadays, this is our biggest problem. Our people are divided. There is no real unity. There is no community code of conduct. And a lot of our people have bought into becoming, or they're Americanized, which means I got mine, you get yours. And so it seems like the only time black people want to get together is during march and protest. But after the cameras and the momentum fades, then things return back to the status quo. As a collective group, we as black people don't have a long-term solution. Our unification is the only thing that can stand against white supremacy. When I created the Grassroots community activist movement over 15 years ago, I have explained to my members about the need for us to practice group economics. I've also explained for the need of a code of conduct in the black community. I thought that by me writing and publishing my story, that my members would take my ideas serious. But again, my book is barely selling. And why is that? Because of this Willie Lynch mentality among our people. Now everything I wrote about is all coming to pass. I finally made some headway by connecting with like-minded individuals, people such as Sister Renee, as well as Evangelist Martha Mumba from Kenya, and others, I would just say, and others. They're working with me the best that they can in terms of sharing my information, and that's cool. I appreciate that. The good news is that our 501c3 application has been approved by the IRS. Now me and Sister Renee are working on writing several query letters to solicit angel investors and sponsors to invest $400,000 into our film project. And if they do that, they're going to want to probably have quote-unquote strings attached, so they might want it to be watered down. Now, I could try my best to open up a GoFundMe, but again, I'm looking at the fact that my book is barely selling, and that's not cool. Not cool at all, because All it, because things that's currently out there is not working. I'm trying to put my ideas into action, but I just want brave and smart people that's going to be on my management team to help activate that. That's the biggest problem I'm having. Anyhow, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute, that's going to be the real business. Will be dedicated to creating films and documentaries. I would say authentic. We're going to have authentic black cinema films that highlights our experience. We will use our voice to tell our stories. The goal of the Grassroots Community Activist Institute is to elevate grassroots activists through funding short films or short-term projects in films, theater, photography, fine arts, music, poetry, literature, sculpture, and dance. We will provide content creators access to our online resources, expand their networks in order to turn their ideas into reality, just like mine. And also, the best thing about my type of organization, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute, all the things that I went through in terms of trying to get this organization started, what makes this organization different is it's based on my experience. So in other words, I'm going to make sure that none of my members will have to endure such, I would say, disrespect and humiliation for trying to do something positive in the black community. It doesn't make sense at all, and I am going to declare war on this Willie Lynch mentality within the black culture in my business, and my business will be membership based. Brothers and sisters that's not interested, we're going to pray for those persons, show them tough love, and keep it moving, point blank. Because I don't have another 28 years to waste talking to dead or small-minded individuals that just don't care. I want to bring this organization to Africa, where we belong in the first place. But I have to start it here first in America, because this is where I'm at. Credibility. So when I do go to Africa, I don't have to sit up here and give long speeches about what I did in America. People are going to know my work. My work is going to speak for itself. That's why I'm trying my best to reach out to African immigrants here in America to come forth. If I can't get black Americans to come on board to be on my management team, no problem. I'll reach out to African immigrants, Afro-Caribbeans, Afro-Europeans, Afro-Canadians, Afro-Latinas. Those are the persons that I want to reach out to. If I can't get black Americans or African Americans to be on my management team. So Global Black Family, this organization, I claim, even though it's based on my experience, it's for our people. But it's geared toward Pacific people, that's those that want more out of life. Rather than for us constantly having to beg other people to work with us and all that stuff when we can't even work together among our own racial group. It's just heartbreaking. We will provide content creators access to our online resources, expand their networks in order to turn their ideas into reality. Our work will range from films, live specials, documentaries, music videos, interviews, podcasts, and charitable outreach. I ask all of my Christian friends to please continue praying that our film will be fully funded so that I can hire professional film crew such as sound technicians, graphic designers, assistant directors, director of photography, camera assistants, hair and makeup artists, production assistants, and most of all, quality actors. I'm also going to hire a screenwriter too, because I just want to make sure that this story is going to be told and going to be entertaining too, because I don't want to just make something. I'm not just trying to make a film for it to be a flop. Basically, I want a quality film that can rival with Black Panther, so to speak, the Black Panther film. And I'm just speaking it into existence. This film is based on my revised book, The Solution for Black America. The proceeds from the film will put me in a better position financially to hire Black middle-class professionals, buy office equipment, and purchase property in Chicago and on the African continent. Now, in the book, I was saying that, it was my hope that, that book was going to be selling when I first got it republished back in 2012, that it was going to get on that bestsellers list. I wanted it to, hopefully have the business in 25 cities. But, I was just trying to think positive and all that stuff. But, I have to be realistic. I want to just focus on Chicago at this point in time, get it started here. I'm going to turn it over to a qualified person, and I want to expand it to the continent. And I want to expand it to hopefully 10 African nations. That's my goal. But it's difficult. It's real difficult when you constantly, this Willie Lynch mess. And I just want Black people to see my experience on film, since the book is not selling like it should. And I rebuke that. That's why I'm asking my Christian friends too to pray that my book will get on that bestsellers list this year. I mean, we have to deal with this COVID-19. That should be a wake-up call for Black people right there to unite. But anyhow, everyone that's listening to this podcast, unity begins with me and you. I can't worry about everybody else. So it's up to us. People that's on my friends list, it's up to you. People that's in my social groups. That's the whole reason why I created the groups. I'm not on here to be popular online. I'm on here to recruit brave and smart people, like I've been saying for the past 28 years. So, yeah, it's kind of frustrating and it's just rough, but, I'm going to just do what I can within my power. We need to bring our talents and skills to the continent where we are the majority. We have to be serious about the reunification of Black people globally. Now, I do want to stress, people that's going to be part of the Grassroots Community Activist Institute, our members are going to be screened. Because first and foremost, I do not associate with con artists. Also, I'm not going to have urban terrorists, pedophiles, hardened criminals. I'm not going to have that in my business. I want people to feel comfortable. A place where they can just get away from all that unnecessary drama, because life is too short to be going through unnecessary drama. My goodness. And I'm going to say this, my business is going to be about, when people come through our doors, we're going to have that big sign where it says, "Peace be still." Because I want this to be a drama-free environment. Yes, people can vent and all that stuff, that's fine. But I don't want people to come in there and want to fight each other and be full of hate and all that stuff and hidden agendas. Yeah, I know people are going to have that. And yeah, there might be some con artists that might slip through the cracks. But once me and my management team, once we find that out, we're just going to chew those people out and spit them out. Because that's not allowed up in this type of organization. We all can agree that road cops should be punished for killing unarmed black men and unarmed black women. I am called by Yahshua, which is Jesus, but that's his real name, Yahshua, because I have a personal relationship with him. To move beyond the four walls of the church and make an impact in the black community and in our economy through my Christian business, the Grassroots Community Activist Institute. For GRCAM is more than just a new business endeavor, it's a new system that must be taught. European powers forbid 44 African nations from manufacturing weapons. America has 33 military bases throughout Africa. That's not cool. And that's where we need to be putting our energy fighting against. Not sitting up here begging these financial elites for equal protection under the law. Let's go ahead and rebuild our, that's what we want to do through GRCAM. Rebuild our inner cities, rebuild Black Wall Street, have a strong economic base, so that way we can go ahead and leave up out of this country, get our passports, apply for dual citizenship, and go ahead and exit. That's what I'm called to do, but like I say, it's just me and Sister Renee. So, it is what it is. GRCAM will function in the areas of community co-op, community grocery stores, community health care, and community housing. GRCAM will operate on two fronts, a domestic front and on an international front. On a domestic front within the United States, we will, to create a sense of national urgency about the genocide which is taking place within our inner cities in America, starting in Chicago. We will push for social change through our stories, using media and advocacy. We will achieve this through our film, stage plays, journalism, to change the narrative. We will strive to educate and enlarge our audience of concerned citizens who care about solving Black issues in America. To eradicate urban violence in Chicago through our programs and services, to tackle poverty, institutionalized racism, and police brutality within the Black community, to promote economic opportunities in the African American community by becoming an advocate, offer stipends and resources to our members, to offer a second chance program for ex-offenders of nonviolent crimes, former gang members, and homeless individuals within the community, to provide programs and services to strengthen the Black family by creating jobs and building a strong economic base, to heal collectively from this Willie Lynch mentality in America and on the continent, to heal from this colonized mentality, to examine the Amish community, the Asian community, and the Jewish community, so that we can practice group economics and form our own code of conduct in our community. To get our house in order first before we invite non-Black sympathizers into our space. Because after all, this is Black people, we have to learn how to solve our issues rather than just sitting up here constantly having to depend on non-Blacks to help us. I've been reaching out to my brothers and sisters in real life as well as online. I paraphrase here and there, but bottom line, I'm on point and I'm staying focused. A lot of people that, they want to sit up here and want to debate with me, ain't nothing changing. Once I start making money from the business, ain't nothing changing. Everything I've written down, I'm going to carry that out to the fullest because that's what my Creator has called me to do. As far as people, believing in my Creator or the belief that I have, that's not my concern. That's between you and your Maker. The only thing I ask for is that you're going to be on the up and up with us. You're going to sign that the community pledge, and you're going to be screened. That's bottom line. I don't care if a person say that they agree with everything I'm saying. That's fine. Or if they don't. Bottom line, just long as you sign the community pledge, because everyone will be held accountable for their own actions, and we want to move forward. This is how you break generational curses and provide resources to the families that I would say that live and that's overlooked in society. So I'm not just trying to create this stuff just to, I would say a upper middle class black community. I'm bringing this stuff to the inner cities and those high crime, gang, and drug infested communities. That's all I'm trying to do. And like I say, if it was up to me, this organization would have been up and running years ago, 20 years ago, But again, I just thank the Lord for the technology. But I'm asking my group members for us to stand up. We got to take this to the next level, and that's going to the big screen, get my story out there, so that through the film I could generate capital, or the proceeds from the film will allow me to do all the stuff that I'm talking about. Okay, so on the international front, that's going to be GRCAM of Africa. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute of Africa plan on hiring African immigrants in America to encourage the diaspora to set up a chapter in South Africa and eventually in 9 other African nations, which includes Liberia, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Angola, Nigeria, Kenya, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Uganda. I am encouraging my international friends to put pressure on their African governments to allow the diaspora to have citizenship within 5 years if they're serious about us doing business on the African continent. GRCAM of Africa will go through the proper channels with the African governments to start our NGO, non-government organizations. We are determined to work with our disadvantaged brothers and sisters in the society to improve and enhance the capacity for self-development, to promote GRCAM to Africa, to the African people, to fight against corruption, to nurture young Africans by conducting mentorship programs and various youth activities across Africa, to promote education through establishing learning centers, book donations, publications to needy young people, to enable them to achieve their academic goals, to promote health among the people living in rural and low-income urban areas by organizing for medical camps and health awareness campaigns, to participate in various economic activities geared towards improving the standards of living among the people in low-income rural and urban centers. GRCAM of Africa will offer private employment to our members based on our budget and sponsorship. We will provide infrastructure for building bridges, roads, power lines, clean running water, agricultural technology, wind and solar energy to help our members with their electric generators, and most of all, help improve the African economy. In time, we will expand to Brazil and Pacific places in the Caribbean, such as Barbados, Bahamas, Haiti, and Jamaica. Again, this is not my burden alone, but rather a shared burden. For I am just one black man with a plan and a vision. It takes a team to make a dream work. GRCAM is a global community of thinkers and builders. I need your help to move GRCAM from behind a computer into our urban communities that need our talents and skills. The Grassroots Community Activist Institute will be membership-based. Everyone will be screened and must attend our mandatory orientation and sign a community pledge. No exceptions. No hardened criminals, no active gang members, no urban terrorists, no pedophiles, and no half-steppers allowed in my organization. This is how I get down. This is my contribution back to my community, society, and throughout the African diaspora. With all that said, I'm ready to open up the phone lines to my panel, and I'm going to give them an opportunity to share their viewpoints, and we're going to discuss this. And after that, I'm going to open up, once my panel, everyone is finished with what they have to say, and we talk about it, then I'm going to open up for Q&A with everyone that's on my friends list. This stuff needs to be told. My story, the vision that my Creator has given me, and I've been ready. But again, like I say, I want to make sure that I have brave and smart people that's going to be on my management team that's going to help carry out this mission. But again, we're going to start off here in the city of Chicago, do the best that we can. And we want the whole black global family to see what's going on here. But one thing for sure, I'm not going to sit up here and put up with this unnecessary drama in terms of people's attitudes. If people don't want to buy the book, that's fine. Just keep it moving. I only want to talk to people that want more out of life. That's real. And we are going to heal from this Willie Lynch mentality through my business. My Creator gave me the vision, and I claim ownership. And this organization is not going to get hijacked like it did with the civil rights movement, going to those financial elites, because they put in law that, okay, we'll give you civil rights, but it's going to be for quote-unquote minorities. So that means everybody, going to piggyback off of our struggles. That's not cool. That's an insult. And again, a four-legged dog has more protection under the law than an unarmed black man. So that's one of the reasons what make me want to just up and leave. But due to the fact that I'm on a shoestring budget, I can't do all the stuff that I want to do. So I'm just gonna do the best that I can to make a successful business here in America. I don't hate America. It's just these policies. It's the laws that they have on the books. So, and most of all, we as black people, we have to learn how to get along with each other. Because I mean, it's sad. I have to go there. My own family members. I can't. Because I can't have. They're just shucking and jiving, so I can't reach out to them about being on my management team. I have to reach out to strangers. It's just how it is, But again, I'm gonna just do my best to make a successful business that can be passed down to our members and our members' children's children. But I definitely want to get it on the continent, and that's real. And I'm willing to work with other African organizations that's willing to work with me. But I just want you to know where I come from, where I stand. And again, I'm not gonna be affiliating myself with people that's shady and that's all about just trying to make money off of other people's misery. That's not what I'm about. Actually, GRCAM is more, like I say, it's more than just a new business endeavor. This is a new system that must be taught. And again, I can't go into details. This is only for my members to know. So, all right, phone lines are now open.